Yeah. Lady Justice in the house.
Keeping the balances of justice level with the light of liberty shining bright.
You're so silly.
What?
Yeah. Right.
Are you?
No, you're much trickier about it. You know what you do? The
I'm
first
not,
thing
I'm
you
not
do.
a tricky person.
No,
Hey, Joe.
you don't think so, but you're taught to do certain things. The first thing you ask is for an ID.
That's not the first thing.
Well, generally speaking, the first thing an officer wants is an identification when they pull somebody over on the road.
Generally speaking, that's not the first thing I ask.
Well, that's good because it's a stupid question. But what is the first thing you ask?
Well, first thing I do is I walk up, I explain who I am, I explain why I'm stopped.
Okay, you're legendary. That almost never happens, but generally speaking,
It's called the 7-step violator contact.
yeah, I almost never see it followed. Okay, but an ID is generally one of the first things. Let's say that.
I mean,
You want to identify somebody.
I don't know what your experience is with other departments, but the 7-step violator contact is followed here in Georgetown. Right? We pull a car over, we explain who we are, our lawful reason for detaining them for whatever reason that may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then through the next part of that conversation, we may ask for identification, right? It kind of depends on the stop. It
Well,
depends
that
on
is
whether or
when
not
you
it's
put
a
them in their
reasonable
person.
suspicion stop or whether it's a traffic stop.
And that is how you're putting them in their person. You see, because if they have a license, then they ask the government permission for that license.
Okay.
A license is, by definition, permission.
Okay.
Okay, and so if you've asked your government for permission, then you must be beneath them.
No.
Yes, you can't be. Why would you ask them for permission if you're above them?
Because all that shows is that you can make the argument that the person who has a driver's license has more access and draw to this road than you do.
No, they don't.
Why not?
Because they have a privilege. It's
How
a
are
privilege
you
to
not-
drive.
How are you not under the thumb of the government if you pay taxes to build these roads?
Okay, here's the thing. Because the people, they don't pay taxes. Their person pays taxes.
so
Their
you
person
don't-
pays taxes.
you don't pay-
Listen to me. Listen to me.
You're losing.
Listen to me. Every people has a person. Okay, and their person, the right of the people to be secure in their person.
Okay.
Clearly, they have a person,
I would think they're the same thing.
but they're not. They're both used in the same sentence for the first time in the Constitution.
Do you pay taxes?
My person pays taxes.
So your person pays taxes for this road.
Yes.
Then you are under the thumb of the government.
My person is, but I'm not always in my person.
So how do I determine as law enforcement
I'm
if you
trying
were
to explain that.
in your person or if you were
I'm trying to explain that, okay?
I don't know
I'm
how
trying
to-
to explain it. Hold on, give me a chance,
I don't know
okay?
how to figure
You
that
can guarantee that any big rig or taxi cab driver, they're in their person,
Okay.
okay? Because they're obviously using the roads for commerce or for personal gain or profit.
Wait, what
Okay.
if it's a taxi cab driver that's just driving home?
Like a Lyft.
Yeah, what if they're just driving home? What if they're not actually working?
Well, they might not be in their person, but I'm talking about reasonable articulable suspicion that they are. Okay, like that car right there, that looks like a private automobile to me, not a motor vehicle.
Yep.
Okay, and so I have no reason to believe that one of the people there is using the roads for profit or personal gain.
But what if
Now,
that's
he
a Lyft
does have a
driver?
license plate. Okay,
What if he's a Lyft driver?
well, what if he is?
So how do I know that when I walk up to the car?
The Fifth Amendment tells you that unless you have proof that they are guilty, then you know they're innocent. You see, none of this how do I know stuff. You either know or you don't know.
So
There's only two options.
I'm gonna conclude with this because I
yeah,
gotta go back.
it's been a great talk.
So
Go ahead.
I'm going to conclude with this.
We'll
all right?
take
And
it up
this is-
later.
And this is how I view the world because it's how the world seems to operate according to what I see, right? Not according to how I want it to, but just based on what I see, right? People, and I'm going to use these two concurrently. I know you don't like that, but just bear with me for a
Go
second.
ahead.
People pay taxes. Taxes build roads, right? People drive these things that are called automobiles. These automobiles weigh a lot, right? Automobiles have a tendency to cause damage to other people and other things, right, when they're crashed. So the government said, well, we have to have some base standard of who's allowed to drive and who's not, right? Let's start with an age. All right, you gotta be 16. That doesn't mean the 16-year-old is under the thumb of the government. It simply means that they're 16 and they want to be able to drive and they've passed some proficiency. It has nothing to do, in my opinion, with people or persons or what. All that is like lost in the world, and that's just how I view the world. It's not whether I view it as being right or wrong or different. That's just how the world operates according to my appearance, right? So all I'm doing is looking at the world and making observations. I can look out here and I can tell you that I can't tell if this car is a private person or people, right? This
But
car
you
just
have
said-
no reason to believe he's in his person.
Right. Except when I pulled up, what was this vehicle doing? When I pulled up, you remember? You were sitting inside.
There,
You may not have
I
seen-
know for a fact that that's Melissa, that's the manager in there, and they were loading stuff in her
Okay,
car.
so they're loading stuff. So they're using. So this is person.
Well, not necessarily.
They're loading stuff into a business. They're using the car for commerce purposes, right? By your own definition.
Yes, but you don't. Yes, in that.
So if I
yes.
watch them unloading boxes into a store,
Yes, you could maybe use that as reasonable, articulable
Yeah, I think
suspicion.
so,
and
but
she's
that's-
illegally parked in a red zone right now.
Yeah, I know.
And I would say that she's the one you should be ticketing, not these people, because see them, they use the road all the time, all day.
But I'm not
they
going
get
to
in the way.
I'm not going to ticket her because it's my discretion to do.
Right,
things,
it is your discretion.
So I don't
But
have
that's
to.
where we have issues.
And
is when
there's no
I'm not
there's
saying
no
to
victim,
ticket her.
right?
No.
Because it would be the city of Georgetown as the victim, right? So there'd be no victim in your defense. So she's not
there
actually
doesn't
violating
need to
the
be
law.
a victim when we're talking about persons, okay? Because we're talking about the Commerce Clause. The government has the power to regulate commerce, and that's what these codes are doing. They're regulating commerce.
So
They're not supposed to be regulating the people.
I appreciate everything that you're saying.
If Congress
But I do have-
intended, I do get a rebuttal of at
Okay,
least
go ahead,
30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
if
ahead.
Congress intended for these laws to apply to the people,
Right.
they could have very easily written the people, but they never do. They only write the persons. No person shall do this. No person shall do that. Okay, and there's a specific reason for that, because they have no authority over the people. The people authored the government, thereby giving them authority over the government. They can't tell the people what to do, because this government is of the people, for the people, and by the people,
Okay.
right? And so there's two categories.